Hello and welcome to the STCfit Learning Podcast. I'll be your host today. My name is Jason Galea and I'll be joined by Ben Scott. Thanks for joining us on our way to creating 1 million positive outcomes in personal training by 2030. The podcast is brought to you by STCfit Learning's Coaches Collective, a premium business mentoring service for PTs who want to attract the clients they want, earn a higher income, and have a long, sustainable fitness career. If you enjoy the episode, please like, share, and subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcasting platform. A 5-star review goes a long way to helping us reach more people just like you. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
Welcome to... Remember when we used to announce the episodes? The numbers?
Yeah, it's too much now.
No fucking idea what we're up to.
Episode 171.
It seemed important for the first 50.
What?
170.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That's pretty close, bro.
Yeah. What didn't you tell us before, Tim?
Yeah.
You could have been professional.
Yeah. Well, can we count the STC Fit ones and then we've done over 200? Just so we feel good. We're not doing any fucking photo shoots for this one, though.
Oh. Fuck, I'm still scarred from that. The couch.
Yeah.
With the...
that was for
there.
downloads, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The old whooshy.
Yeah.
The whooshy sauce.
Yeah. That's what we've come to now. It's whooshy sauce.
Yeah. It's easier than trying to say it.
Whoever made up that name's stupid.
Yeah. And it's like...
Isn't
it like a place in England too? Like,
is it?
It's, I don't know. Yeah. It's like, how is an English word so hard to say?
Yeah, usually it's just...
Yeah.
Flows off the
That's not a white person word.
Flows off the tongue quite well.
It's not... Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe it was like, back when it was a complicated... It was a complicated tongue back in the day. It's just we've probably made it
just
easier.
simplified it.
Yeah, like if you think back to like... Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you think back to before England was united.
Yes.
There was the Northumbria.
Yeah.
And Wessex.
Which we only know about because of Vikings.
East Anglia. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know more about like England's history than Australia's because of Vikings.
Yeah.
It's like, pretty exciting show. Got a bit carried away. I'm one of those people that that gets right into something and has to look at the real facts.
Yeah.
So if something's actually happened, I'm like, all right, even halfway through the movie, I'm like, screw this movie. And I'm just like looking on Wikipedia or something.
Yeah, so I haven't done that yet.
Credible sources, Wikipedia.
Yeah. I was always like, I refuse to open anything and look up anything until the show's finished because it might be spoilers. Yeah. But I probably should go.
Yes, that's pretty bad too. She'll
now.
be like, oh, do you know this happened? And I'm like, we're literally in the middle of the movie. I'm like, whoa, that's pretty sick.
Yeah. It's about to happen.
Yeah.
They've ruined it.
Yeah. But like obviously it's just glorified on TV.
Yeah. Yeah, I finished, maybe that's what I can read next. I finished Harry Potter last night. All 7 books. All 7 put away. Very proud of myself. I think it's the most fictional reading I've ever done in my whole life.
Well done, Ben.
But it was good. Highly, highly recommend it. Way fucking better than the movies.
Oh, really?
Like, so much better.
Yeah. I assume like the first 2 books would be great because the first 2 books, movies are kind of shit. Like when you're older. It's like, this is a kid's film, but I have to watch this.
No, so the way she wrote it was that you were supposed to grow up with the books.
Yeah, oh, okay, so it's
the first 2 books are actually, like, they feel like kids' books.
Yeah, okay.
And then I think
it's more my speed.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was like, fuck, I haven't read a fiction book probably since I read the first Harry Potter in, like, grade 6.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is probably, like you said, an easy way in. And then I think it's the 5th book. And it was like, I looked at the read time and I think it was like 16 hours or some shit based on like how fast I read. I was like, oh, that's a big commitment. Like, it's like 600 pages or something maybe. I'm not sure, but it was big. And I was like, okay, this is the biggest book I've ever read. Yeah. In terms of pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was good. I've enjoyed it. I bought a Kindle. So it's actually a game changer in terms of being able to read. It's more comfortable. You can take it everywhere. It's just easier.
Is it easy to upload books to?
Yeah. Even like PDFs, like I've got. So what I typically do is read a non-fiction book until my brain stops working, and then switch to Harry Potter or some shit. Yeah. So I've been reading Lyle McDonald's
The Women's
book.
Yep.
And another one on Stoicism. So if it like read those until I have to reread a paragraph a couple of times. I'm like, okay, your brain's expired. Now go read something fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, even like all the PDF downloads and all that kind of shit that you get.
Yeah.
Like that book, like Lyle's book and stuff. You can just flick them on there.
So you don't have to print it and bind it. I have.
Yeah. Yeah. So like all the resources that we have, like Mike and Chad and Schoenfeld's, all of those like stuff that we had from years ago. That's all on my Kindle now. So
does a Kindle work is it just a digital book or does it work like an iPad?
Just books.
Yeah. So it's just
Yeah.
So would you just get an iPad?
Well, the idea is you don't have the backlight, so it's less stimulating, and
it's obviously less distracting.
I've had it, well, I don't know, 8 weeks maybe. I've charged it once.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So, and I think I charged it like for a few hours and then picked it up again.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even full charge it.
Yeah.
So yeah, battery life, and then it's the biggest thing is the iPad's heavy. Like I find laying in bed, like holding on. It sounds like so pretentious, but it's like TV. Holding a book is like fuck. This is annoying. You got to hold it open, and it's like but then iPad would just be heavy. And then like the blue light before sleep, not optimal.
Oof.
Even though I have a TV on in the background with the fire on the YouTube.
It's pretty funny. I like it when you take that picture. I don't know why. I just find it funny.
I had a client message me like, tut, you got a TV in your bedroom? And I was like, yeah, but it's a fireplace. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. That's actually a hot topic of debate for our next place. It's like, do we do TV in the bedroom?
Yeah. Being
like second story house, it's like contemplating it. Yeah. But I don't know. I won't really spend much time in there anyway.
Yeah. We have one... so we can leave the main area of the house if one of us is on calls. Yeah, so
and
like,
that makes sense if you've got
Yeah.
Like an open living space.
Yeah, like where my office is, Amy can't watch TV if I'm recording. And then where the couch is, I can't even hear what she's saying, just the voice.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's annoying enough. I'm just going to go to the bedroom.
Yeah.
And put a podcast on or whatever. So
yeah. I think we shouldn't have any issues with space getting out of each other's hair in the next hour. It's like 42
It's
squares.
rather large for two humans.
Can you hear me?
No? Good.
Probably have to have walkie-talkies or something.
And need a, like back in the day when they had all the speakers around the house.
Yeah, the intercoms.
Yeah.
I message Steph even if she's in like 2 rooms from me.
Me too.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, is this weird? It's like, it's efficient.
Yeah. It's easier than yelling.
Yeah, that's right. Or getting up.
Yeah. The other benefit of the TV in the bedroom, and I guess Steph doesn't watch Formula 1, so that's not a little bit different, but like Sunday morning before you open anything, no social media, roll over, put the race on. That's not bad.
Yeah.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
Don't have to make it to the couch where it's cold.
Yeah, I think we will go TV because like when you're sick and you just want to lie in bed, it's like fuck, I don't want to lie on the couch.
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
Yeah, we don't watch a lot of TV in there, especially now that we're both like committed to reading at night.
Yeah, it's cool.
Like I like to have my dessert.
What's your dessert?
At the moment, it's light and creamy with Milo.
Light and creamy. Is that ice cream?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Yes.
For some reason,
thank you for clarifying that for everyone else.
For some reason, I thought light and easy, and I was like, "Wait, what? What is happening here?"
Soup for dessert,
light and creamy. Yeah,
light and creamy vanilla with a dash of Milo at the moment.
Loving the Milo at the moment,
and a protein bar because low cal life. But I have this thing where I need to watch a TV show when I eat my last meal of the day. It's just like this is my switch off time now. It's like I'm done for the day.
Yeah, right. What TV show are you watching?
Dude, I'm trying to find the simplest low input shows I can watch that aren't stupid. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I can't do reality TV. I just can't fucking do it. So I've been watching so we just go through loops that we'll have on when we're cooking dinner. Those will be Friends, Big Bang Theory, How I Met Your Mother, there and The Ranch. We kind of cycle through those because they're just, if they're on in the background, we've seen them enough that you know the next line anyway. It doesn't matter. You don't have to actually tune into them.
Yeah.
So recently we've started 2.5 Men,
Oh yeah,
which is actually fucking funny. And
I used to watch 2.5.
when you watch it now, good lord, you could not get away with any of it now. It's wild.
Charlie Sheen days.
Yeah, man.
Very funny.
Yeah, the early seasons. Fuck.
Even watching movies now, like watch is it 40-Year-Old Virgin? It's like, man, there's no way that movie would be made now with that exact script.
Yeah. Well, Rogan's got this thing at the moment that there's the comedy movie's dead.
Yeah, I agree.
Name the last comedy movie that was successful.
Yeah.
Probably The Hangover.
Yeah, you don't get many funny.
It's like they're done now.
Yeah, I have there's 6 or 7 funny movies that when you're in the mood, you'll just watch them. Like Get Him to the Greek.
Yeah.
Super Bad.
Yeah.
40-Year-Old Virgin.
All of those. Yeah. So those are the movies that I watch the TV shows with the similar kind of thoughts.
Yeah. Okay.
Just put it on. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's 8 seasons, so I can watch it in the background for 3 months. And I don't have to decide on one all the time.
Yeah, you go.
But I started watching, it's called Mum.
Okay.
And it's on Netflix as well. And it's the same producer or director as 2.5 Men.
Oh, okay.
And it's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like the chick from Scary Movie. I could never think of her name. One of the blonde ones. Anyway. Yeah, basically they're just like, it's a line of white trash alcoholics. Like the grandma's an alcoholic, the mum's an alcoholic, and then their teen daughter's now pregnant. So it's just like chaos. It's a good show.
Okay.
Recommend it.
I only like one type of TV show. It's just like picture John Wick in a TV show. It's like that's literally the only type of TV show.
Yeah.
Or if it's like the medieval version of it. It's
like
swords.
I don't know what it is. I don't have the bandwidth for it anymore.
They're easy to watch though. If you remove yourself from the drama.
Yeah.
It's like, this person hates this person, and if you remove yourself from that, that's why I didn't like Game of Thrones. Is because the second
needed to get into
season,
the politics.
I was like, what the fuck is going on here? There's so many fucking people in the show, and it's like there's just so much politics. I was like, I just want we're gonna fight these guys, and we fight them, and we take over their shit, and then they're gonna come back and get us, and we fight again.
Yeah.
Which
so
is
I guess
Vikings.
I guess Vikings has both, so you can get away with not caring.
Just on a lower politics level, though. It wasn't in-depth politics. It's just like, I want to be the boss and I want your land and we're going to kill you for it.
I think my thing with Vikings was I had to figure out what Ragnar was going to do because he was always going to do something. You just had to figure it out.
Yeah.
So that was Amy and I both are trying to solve it before it ends, no matter what the show is.
Yeah. What do we watch? We watched The Terminal List with Chris Pratt. It's funny because no disrespect to Chris Pratt, but I just can't. When he's serious, I can't take him serious. It's like, bro, you gotta be funny. Yeah. It's kind of like Ryan Reynolds when he tries to be serious. It's like, just do something stupid.
Yeah,
we know it's there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good. It was kind of like a Jason Bourne kind of.
Yeah,
he's an ex-military, and they did something to his platoon, and they all died, and he's gonna come back and get them all.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Same as The Punisher as well.
Yeah, well, I feel like that.
That story's never been told before.
Yeah. It's a straightforward kind of
revenge
plot.
story.
It's like, something happens, one person lives, comes back to kill them all. So that's a really easy watch.
Yeah.
And we watch an Animal Kingdom at the moment.
Which I watched the first couple seasons.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm only second season in. So.
Yeah. Amy didn't like it, so it didn't make it past
We're
the
like
first
6
season.
seasons. It has 6 seasons or something. I like something that's got, I know that I'm going to get a bit out of it.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, if it's got 1 or 2, I'm like, I'm just going to get hooked on it, and then it's finished.
Yeah.
I'm liking the idea of just having months and months of TV ahead of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we watch maybe 1 show a week, 2 shows a week. We don't really watch a lot of TV.
Yep.
Too busy owning 9-year-olds on Call of Duty.
I was going to say you're gaming instead, right?
Yeah. We spoke. It's funny. We're at a family function. We had a funeral yesterday, but at the wake, we're obviously just in idle chit chat. And we're talking about playing video games, and then I don't know. Steph's like, I always hear him yelling and swearing and screaming and this and that. And he's like, do you do that at other people? And I'm like, only if they do it first. And she's like, what? So you yell at 9-year-olds on the internet? I said, no. I said, there's a spectrum, right? I said, if they make fun of you first, it's on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's I don't care. I don't care what your age is. Yeah. It's I'm coming at you, bro. You can't just in this day and age, you can't just say something without any repercussions.
Yeah.
And then my cousin or Steph's cousin, he's like 15 and he's like, oh, you can't yell at 9-year-olds. And I'm like, it's okay, bro. I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, thankfully in the sim racing stuff, most of them sound like they're 50.
Yeah. Be like
So,
a
like,
certain demographic.
Yeah. So if you get nerfed, you're just like, you're a fucking moron. And they're like,
Yeah.
I'm reporting you. Never ever.
Yeah, I've had a few trolls. They're just like, oh, you're probably like 40 years old, that, this and that. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly right, bro. Like, it's all good, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I said to Steph, I go, you can tell when they're like, young, not just their age, but I said like just their humor. I'm like, they bag your parents and stuff, and they think it's really, really funny.
Yeah.
And then my cousin who's like 15, he's like, oh yeah, it's pretty funny, isn't it? And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. I said, I looked at Steph, I go, you see? So you hang it on my parents all you like, bro. It's like, it's not going to offend me.
Yes. It's a wild world, though. You can get away with anything. Well, unless you're actually a paid streamer and then you lose your gigs and all that.
Yeah, well, yeah. Especially in cancel culture now.
Yeah.
Got to watch your P's and Q's.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of cancel culture, I said it last week. We're going to Chris Rock.
Yeah, sweet.
Next Thursday.
I'm excited to hear how it is.
I'm so keen.
Yeah.
I've never been so excited for like a comedy gig.
It's funny because you had tickets before that happened, right? Before the slap?
We bought them like the week before.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. So it's like, it's hard not to lean into the conspiracy theories that it was staged, but I think now.
Really?
Yeah, well, there's conspiracy theories that like, he's got, like it was staged, but it's like he got banned. Will Smith got banned for like 10 years.
Yeah.
To the Academy
did he?
Awards.
From the awards? Yeah, good.
He can't get a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I knew he couldn't get work.
Yeah. So even though last year was like the highest paid actor or something, so I'm pretty sure it'd be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, from a monetary perspective. Yeah. But yeah.
Oh, no, she might leave him now.
Yeah. Fuck, let's not go there. What a piece of work.
Wild.
Yeah, I know.
Do you subscribe to that? That it's his mental health is just from gaslighting from his wife?
Oh, I think it's got a large... Yeah. It's a large contributing factor.
All the conversations I hear about, I'm like, yeah, it seems pretty legit.
Yeah. No, she's definitely, in my opinion, a big contributing factor to just his behaviour in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's only really started to wig out since they had that, like, kind of separated.
What was it?
Someone else.
The entanglement.
Yeah. It's like, fucking awkward, man. So anyway.
Since he became that crying meme, it's all gone downhill from there.
Basically, yeah. Everyone likes a good crying meme.
Fuck. Yeah, I heard someone say that it's the Michael Jordan one where he's crying.
That's the best.
And the kids were like, oh, when The Last Dance came out, they're like, oh, it's a guy from the meme. It's like, no. He's the guy and someone made a meme. He's not the guy from a fucking meme.
He's the guy from the meme. That's our generation. That's when you know we're
How much does that hurt your feelings?
Yeah, that's when you know you're getting old.
Yeah.
It's like then the music goes on Gold FM. It's like that's the same. Yeah.
Yep. I watched Space Jam actually over the weekend.
Wait, the first one or the second one?
New one.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I think I went in expecting it to be horrible, which
was what you should do with all remakes.
Was of benefit, yeah. Because I was really disappointed in The Lion King when they did the live action one.
That's what I was going to say. Lion King. What's the Aladdin as well?
I haven't seen
another Will Smith movie.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like some things just need to be left alone. Yeah. Maybe use the new graphics and stuff but just make it the same.
Yeah, I think they tried to with Lion King, but it's like you can't get live action hyenas to march like Hitler's army. Like you can't. It doesn't really work. So it just lost a lot of the flair that it had.
Yeah.
And even I think all the comedic stuff in the original you can't do in live action, so it just didn't work. Yeah. But yeah, Space Jam was okay. Like LeBron's just as bad an actor as Michael Jordan was.
You can't expect an athlete to be good.
Yeah, they kind of overdo the whole like space verse thing.
Yeah,
like try and make it, I don't know, too much.
Is this like the exact? Is it a second one or is it they're trying to remake it?
No, it's a second one, and they even reference
so the
it.
Monstars aren't in the
No, they pop up for a second, like just as they're there. But yeah, like Bugs has to go re-recruit the Toon Squad and bring them all back. But half of it's like an ad for Warner Brothers as well. Like they go into the Matrix, they go into the DC universe, they go all these places to like, this is all our shit kind of thing. but then they end up with the same team.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay.
It's not selling it to me. Some things are just best left alone, I think.
Yeah, I think if you hadn't seen the first one and you were a kid, it would be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So, actual topic for the day.
Sure.
So funny. On the way here, I was like, fuck. Or yesterday, I was like, well, I have no idea what the podcast is going to be about.
Yeah, that's every week. We could use this whole hour and a half for just absolute nothing.
Rubbish. Yeah. Maybe we should. We put that out to the fans. Can we just come in and just talk shit like we were on a golf course for an hour and you'll all listen?
Maybe every now and then.
Yeah. But yeah, I had an interesting, and I was talking to you like before we hit record, like, have you had any interesting check-ins lately? And sometimes it is just like you're in a zone where all your clients are kind of on point. You know what's going on. They know what's going on. It's just like, it's not worth coming on a podcast and be like, well, I changed their macros. Like,
yeah, you're just turning dials, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm real in that at the moment. Everyone's like 12 weeks out, 11 weeks out, or 9 weeks out, 8 weeks out. So it's just like, do everything that we've done over the last 14 weeks again.
Yeah, with less food.
With less food and more activity.
But I had some interesting ones this week, which was fun.
Awesome. I'm going to sit here and tune in like everybody else.
But I thought that we could discuss just how we approach stuff like that, because I posted and I actually had some people ask questions about it. So
I just want to caveat what I said just then, by the way, because I seem to be the simplifier of everything. We're controlling those variables, like I said before, but the planning is where the most complex shit kind of starts from. Yeah,
and we've done episodes on that.
Yeah, it's just like sometimes people for some reason people want like overcomplicated shit, and when you don't overcomplicate it and it's too simple, they're just like, oh well, that person either doesn't know what he's talking about, or it's just not complicated enough for me to
be
abide by.
Yeah.
But it's like planning and periodization is the key.
Yeah, it should be easy.
Yeah.
If it's going well, you should be able to say keep as is. Like that. Yeah. That is your goal.
Yeah, and then when it's not going to plan, you have a pretty good idea of what the issues are.
Yeah.
Because I'm apparently the oversimplifier. It's like everybody tells you.
Who said that? Do you want me to smash him?
Nah. But it's just like, you just get that vibe sometimes.
No,
it's
I know.
And I know, without making this a discussion about contest prep, even though I really want to talk about that only at the moment.
Can everyone just send in their recommendations for contest prep coaches and bodybuilding coaches to come on the podcast?
And talk about the same things I talk about.
Jason's sick of talking about shit with people that I talk to about people I train.
The funny part is, like, anyone we get on is going to talk about the same stuff, because it's all
the
same
way.
Yeah. But it's just like the desire for overcomplexity is just too rife, and it's when you do what you're supposed to do and peel all the layers back and just be like, no, we just control your diet, control your training, and control your activity. We don't need to worry about all this stuff. They're like, no, surely not. Surely you can't do that.
Yeah,
it's like,
it can't be that simple.
Yeah, it's that easy.
Yeah, and the hard part there is like walking the line of from the buy-in standpoint.
Yeah, well, that's
so do you just make shit up? Just to be like, yeah, this is hard. Do this. So it feels like it's sometimes fucking on the grind, bro.
Sometimes you're just making adjustments that mean nothing. Just so that person's like, my macros changed a little bit. It's like, your macros don't need to change. I've eaten the same amount of protein for like 5 years.
Yeah.
It's like 220 grams.
Yeah.
220 grams, 220 grams. Haven't really changed it.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it's like, I've got to make, you have to make a change.
Yeah.
Like you just have to. And if you don't, then it's like you start to lose the buy-in. So that can be one of those things that happens when you work with people, is like the monotony is not always a good thing. And creating that variability, and as the coach, you obviously want to rationalize your choices and stuff, and you can stick to your method. But if you do find you're kind of getting that vibe from the client that it's like they just need something to freshen up, it's like if you can't do it within their program, which we talk about all the time, it's like keep your core units and then just like vary the fluff and the fluff and buff stuff. Then you might need to just make a change that doesn't really, it's like, here's 10 grams more of carbohydrates and 5 grams less of fat. means nothing in the grand scheme of things, but you think it's different.
It feels different.
Yeah.
And I think the message to the client too is just like, no news is good news most of the time. Yeah. Like even with like assessing movement and stuff, sometimes it's just like when it's a skill thing, it's just like 3 out of those 5 were great. 2 of them sucked.
Yeah, just
what did you do on those ones? Instead of me trying to throw 20 cues at you that you're going to forget by the time you go train anyway.
Yeah.
Just like, what was the difference? Oh, I think I did this. Okay, do that for all of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, by week 4, you're going to be nailing it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need that input from me.
No.
And I have a lot of people like, oh, can you check my form? Can you check my form? It's like, it's the same as last week.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Yeah, and even...
You've been training for 6 years.
In a lot of cases, they want to know... They want there to be something as well. So,
yeah.
Because I'm always like... If I'm looking at someone move, I'm trying not to tell them anything.
Correct.
That's the goal. The goal is to say as little as possible.
Yeah.
Even say nothing.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of my clients like want, rip this apart. And it's like, it's fucking good, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is there to rip apart? Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I just saw your big toe kind of like just, turn in a little bit. So that might suggest that we're not fully playing, it's like, if it looks good, it looks good, and I think that, we can get too caught up in trying to overcomplicate shit when it's like, in my experience, that we should really just be doing the complete opposite. It's like, if it's simple, effective, it's going to be consistent. Yeah. Consistency is king.
And then when you say like the oversimplification thing too, like a lot of the time the complexity's gone into building the program because I already know you do that. Yeah. So if you're you're going into too much extension through your torso in a squat, it's like, I've already got anterior loaded stuff in there to fix that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's already there. It'll do the work. Here's one cue, keep your ribs down, and then that's it. And they're like, oh, what else can I do? Should I? It's like, it's already there. Just sometimes, like one of my clients I've experienced, like what we've actually started to do with her was like put notes after every exercise. Yeah. Why? Because it was like she came out of a powerlifting prep, went into a movement variability phase, which coincided with focusing on body composition. Yeah. So now we're kind of sliding into the check-in stuff that we were going to talk about. And she was sort of like, she's like, I have no motivation to train. Like, this kind of idea of focusing on body composition's messing with my head, like blah, blah, blah. I'm like, 5 steps back. Everything in this program is designed to make you a better powerlifter. Yeah. It just looks like a bodybuilding program. Yeah, which... It's like, oh, okay. So it's like this... 95% of powerlifters should train like bodybuilders for a lot of... Actually, not even... Scrap that. It's like a powerlifter should train like a bodybuilder for 50% of their year. Yeah. Even more, you know? Yeah. So... And then you just have to do it in a way that improves skill. Yeah, and not... Like that's... Yeah, and make sure that there is some element of those core lifts that you're where the specificity lies for the outcome. Like a bodybuilder probably needs to be defined as like with the intent of accruing large amounts of volume, probably adding muscle mass and progressively overloading over time. Like in rep ranges traditionally known as bodybuilding kind of rep ranges, so you can accrue that 8 to 12 reps, Ben. Maybe 5. The bodybuilding range, maybe 5 to 20. But yeah, like. The skill acquisition is part of it, and then everything else is just like, okay, is there any, like, a bodybuilder goes, all right, I need to train quads. What's the best way for me to train quads? Yeah. And it's like, I would look at it and go, okay, under a really heavy load, you have a propensity to, like, collapse through your upper back. So when I select your movement for quads, I also challenge your upper back. Yeah. And when I select your row, I challenge your upper back. Yeah. And I'm willing to trade out a bent over row for a pen lay row because it has more skill carryover to a deadlift. Shit bodybuilding move. But I'm still going to go do like volume accruing movements with like an overhand row somewhere else. Yeah. So it's I think people get a little bit lost in that. They think that, now it's just body composition. It's like, it looks too simple. It can't be this easy. It's like, no, everything has a purpose. And that's the complexity lies in the model and the system. So the periodization is where the complexity lies. So you should be able to move from those mesocycles and go, right, well, all these training blocks where it's like, okay, so this is the movement variability / improvement in body composition phase. Now we move into some form of hybrid kind of training system to work on the core lifts and improve your hypertrophy and whatever.
Then it's strength accumulation.
Yeah.
Then it's expression. Next thing you know, you're peaking.
Same again.
And you're at the meet.
Yeah.
And you made improvements to whatever it is. So it's that complexity that's where the complexity is. And then everything else is actually quite simple when you plan things properly.
Yeah, which a client often doesn't see. And with an online client, you have less opportunity to communicate it.
Yeah.
So I think it's important sometimes to know the client too. Like sometimes they need a loom that's 15 minutes long about why the program is the way that it is at the start of their block. Other clients don't give a fuck. They're just like, okay.
Yeah, I think if you've got people that have time-sensitive goals or time-based goals, not sensitive but based, so it's like we know roughly around this time we're going to be doing this. So, you guys have powerlifting meets, bodybuilding shows, photo shoots, whatever. You can map out the periodization. You can reverse engineer that periodization, and it doesn't have to be to the micro degree. It can just be, this is what we're going to do here. This is what we're going to do here. So they can kind of see as they transition through those weeks and months that's kind of what it's going to look like for them. So they don't get hung up on week to week. Yeah. And it's like, I can't really see how this falls into the plan. Yeah. But when you got a Gen Pop client, it's not a Gen Pop client, a client with not a time sensitive goal. Yeah. That they just want to train to, look better, whatever. If you can't make it time sensitive, that's when it becomes a little bit tough. Yeah. Especially it's like, I had a bad week this week, and it's like, okay, well, let's just repeat it. If we get too hung up on that periodization model, it's like, what happens when someone doesn't follow the plan? Yeah. We used to do those, really regimented training cycles, and it's like, I've missed week 3. I was sick, so can I just have a new program? Yeah. It's like, you sure you don't want to just pick up where you left off or repeat the training cycle? Oh, no, I just prefer a new program. It's like, so it just doesn't work that way
in practice.
On the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, so I think it's twofold. Knowing what client wants to know how much, and that's something I always talk about, particularly in onboarding. It's like, there's a lot that goes into your programming, but I'm not going to send you a 20-minute video and tell you every time. Unless you ask. Because if I do, you just won't look at it anyway. Yeah. So I think knowing which clients do want it, which ones don't, because you don't want to overcomplicate and scare the ones that don't care or waste your own time. Yeah. But the ones that do actually need that like we said, the buy-in, they need to feel like there's enough complexity that it's going to make the changes. And it's important to communicate where that is. Yeah. So that same client we're talking about went into the body composition phase after a after a prep. Was one of the check-ins I wanted to talk about, which was, it's a pretty common thing that I see people coming out of preps that then go into, with the movement variability, what we often try and do is put as much single leg stuff in as we can. Because it's like, you haven't worked in that environment for such a long time. Yeah. But really common for that to trigger like lower back pumps. It's not even pain, just like lower back pump. Yeah. And then doing movements they haven't done for a while also starts to trigger that as well. So what we've done in this instance, and then I'll flick it to you, like how you sort of
taurine intake and lie on the back, just
foam roller between every single set. That was my coping mechanism.
I was just up the taurine.
Yeah. Take taurine and caffeine pre-training, and then foam roll between every set of squats so you can walk. So we don't want her doing that because she doesn't have 3 hours to be in the gym like I did.
It's not a primary solution anyway.
But typically what it suggests is that we've lost the ability to control the pelvic-lumbic kind of area during those movement patterns. Usually it'll mean you're going into too much extension, or you're falling in deflection and trying to pull into extension throughout.
Falling forward, yeah.
There's a movement, there's movement in that area that we don't want. Essentially, like if you look at reference lines, like this part should be still and it's not. So how do we go about fixing that? Often too, it's a teaching that pelvic lumbar control is best done in movements. Yeah, it's like, yes, the bird dog and all of that shit helps.
The hip tucks,
hip tucks. Yeah. The internal rotation bounces. It's one of Fox Video's favorites. Like that stuff all helps, but like the best way to improve it is to do a thing that requires it. Yeah. But you have to control frequency, intensity of exposure. So we, during the prep, had upper lower days, which has always kind of worked for her. Yep. upper one day, lower the next. Because we had such a density of movement variability, once you did one exercise, it set it off, which is kind of not great for the rest of the session.
Yeah.
So what we did was first thing was move to full body days. So, first thing we did was regress the exercises. That still didn't quite, was like one exercise still flared it up and was like, there's not really any further we can go here and I want you doing this pattern. So then we went to full body sessions where it was like two to three leg exercises per day. And that seemed to really help. And then we added in the movement prep stuff. So it was like shoulder touches, bird dogs, dead bugs, those fundamental kind of like quote unquote core exercises that then moved into the other training. And within like 3 weeks, it's like bang, fixed. So have you experienced that? Do you do anything similar? Like what's your...
No, we'll just pick an isolation exercise just to work around the problem.
Single leg extension, fixed. Still single leg work.
Very similar approach. It depends. For me, it depends on where they're at in the whole training cycle. Like I got clients at the moment that we're so close to prep that we can't really spend time trying to copious amounts of time addressing the issue.
Of course.
So we have to pick a movement where we can still, I guess, execute for the primary goal. So I like to have, some form of like intensification component to their workout. And it's like, cool, maintain strength or increase it. And then the volumizing component of the sessions. And it's like, okay, well, let's try and accrue this, increase this over time because that's going to be the best way to burn energy and retain tissue. So if someone's coming to me saying, I can't do this, this hurts, that hurts. It's like there's a superficial layer where we can try and address it immediately.
Yeah.
It's like, is it a preparation thing? Is it a technique thing?
Yeah, that's the one thing I didn't mention. Is actually look at the lifts first.
Yeah. So usually like that's the first thing we'll go to is like, I'll say, have you warmed up, for example, sufficiently and let me see the lift itself. And then after that, if those two things aren't improving the problem, we'll look at the programming itself. Maybe it's the order, maybe it's the dosage, those kind of things. But after that, it's like for that particular time frame, we have to pick something else to service the primary outcome of that program, and we'll address it later.
Yeah,
in conjunction with working. Most of the time, I'm just going to go right. Well, if our interventions aren't going to work immediately, go get some work done. Especially being so close to comp.
Yeah.
If we're not close to comp, though, we can peel the layers back. We can play around with tempo. We can play around with load, and we can play around with other exercise variations and whatnot. So it really does depend on where that person is. Because when I always say it all the time, you can't change the date of something. They're not going to go, the US APLs we're going to move them back a week for you. Yeah. So it's sometimes.
Look at you knowing federation.
It's the only one. I think I saw it in someone's Instagram feed. Maybe Adam's. So in some instances, and look, with bodybuilding, because we're not, because the physical, the physical proponents to the outcome. So the outcome is to be massive and shredded. Yeah. So we don't have to do an activity or an exercise. Yeah, that's right. It's like that. No one has to sit there and go, have you squatted and deadlifted and bench pressed in your program?
Can you do a front foot elevated split squat for me? I just want to see how your hips function.
So because of that, because that's not really going to, in the short term, affect the outcome. Yep. So I say in the short term because obviously moving properly is important overall. We can work around that with variety, in the gym. So if someone can't squat for whatever reason, back squat, maybe we'll do a single leg variation and, we can kind of work around that for now. But it's like at some point you are going to have to address the issue. It just depends on how much time you have. Hey guys, hope you are enjoying this week's episode. If you are, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to head to the website where we have all our free resources, gifts, products, services, and merch for you guys to enjoy. All right, let's head back to the episode. So
that's always been my argument with like the you don't have to squat crowd. It's like you don't, but you should be able to. Yeah. That's kind of my thing. And it's
I think it's more...
Then choosing when you can is important, like you said.
Yeah.
Like if you're 12 weeks out from a bodybuilding show and you can't back squat, now's not the time.
Yeah.
But at some point, it's like once that show's over, similar to like this powerlifting setup that we have, where you just have a different type of specificity. The specificity is based around stimulus rather than a movement pattern.
Yeah.
So as you drive that, when you come out the other end, you're like, okay, you can't scratch your own back and you can't bend down on the floor. Let's actually build some...
Are you saying that to me personally?
Let's move some, without saying a trigger word, like let's build some functionality into your body again with different movement patterns. Yeah.
I think where the message gets lost with the you don't have to squat, bench, and deadlift is that good coaches are identifying that certain people are going to squat in a certain way, and that's maybe not going to develop their legs in a way that other people can squat.
Yeah.
And then you take an inexperienced coach who doesn't have a really good idea of movement and activation and those kind of things, and then just goes, oh, well, we don't need a squat for whatever reason.
Yeah.
There's definitely, we should always be trying to implement those patterns into someone's program.
Yeah.
Like we just said, there's a time and a place, and then there's legitimately people where it's like squatting just has no value to your outcomes.
Yeah, or the trade-off for the outcome is too much.
Yeah, I've got a client who's like, her legs are like make up legitimately 2/3 of her body.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
And she's got an ankle block.
Yeah. So I have a similar situation, and it's like, okay, so squatting is not going to happen for you.
Yeah.
And that's when it's like split squat. Even in the split squat, it's like, rear foot elevated, front foot heel elevated, front loaded.
Yeah.
There's just like all of these little adjustments that we have to make that are going to benefit that person.
Yeah.
Not necessarily everyone. And then you got the client with like the short femurs, and it's like, cool, man, just
squat all day, son. Yeah.
Nice, good, healthy ankles. And it's like, bury yourself, son.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a client, I did a face-to-face with her last week. It's another one of the check-ins, who had just been working for ages just to work on control, movement, spatial awareness, all that kind of stuff. So her squatting patterns previously had just really went leg press to hack squat in a Smith machine. That didn't really work. Back to the hack squat, just because it was primarily like the goal was body composition. And she was like, I'm pretty keen to do the lift off. And I'm like, well, your bench press is great, your deadlift is great, but you can't squat to save your life, so we need to have an intervention. Had a look at everything. Basically, she broke every bone in her ankle like 5 years ago. So even when she stands, that leg's still turned out. And when she walks, that foot's turned out, because she just obviously, through having the boot and the movement restriction, like she doesn't go through ankle flexion ever. So it's like, okay, well, like, and for every personal trainer that works in a health club, this isn't a fix-all solution. And just because your client can't hit depth, don't just do this.
Chuck your heel.
We put us up on some lifts, put her on some plates.
We elevated her heels, the number one. It's like the the meme with the chisel on the door lock.
Yeah.
For a lot of instances, that's what it is.
So, and I thankfully had a safety bar in the gym as well. So, safety bar, heels elevated, it's like bang, hamstrings to calves. And I was like, okay. Yeah. So, we have a legitimate, there's no like rubber band, but we can put around your foot to fix this. This is fucked. Unless you go get surgery and we fix it. So, I was like, cool. So, you have two choices. Keep doing what you're doing, or buy some lifters. Yeah. And then we can squat. And just understand that comes with a financial investment, et cetera, et cetera. If you want to squat, we can. Otherwise, like, it's not going to matter in terms of your development. Just like, no, I want to squat. Like, I like the idea of it, and I want to do the lift off. Like, cool, sweet. Go buy some ROMs, get your heels up in the air. Happy days. Yeah. So I think, there's a lot in that in terms of just like, actually, like you were saying before, looking at the individual and what the individual kind of needs.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what good coaching is.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, but it is cool to see like a client who has struggled with a movement, Because like I obviously do like my pre-screening thing, like what's the heaviest weight you've squat, bench, deadlift, to give me an idea from an online standpoint. It's like, you know how to move, and me giving you those movements is going to be safe.
Yeah.
And she had a decent number, but I'd hate to see what it looked like when she did it. Because it was like the first week of the program was like, cool, send me all your videos. And I was like, oh, yeah, we're not squatting.
Yeah.
Like, that's not it right now. Yeah, it's like anterior load, heels elevated, like goblet squat or front rack kettlebell or something that's going to encourage that position.
Yeah.
But we're not barbell squatting just yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's cool for her too now to be like, well, now I can.
Yeah,
you know,
and if you're not there, you want peace of mind that like they're not killing themselves. Like legitimately, not effort-wise.
But like you said, like she didn't need to.
Yeah.
It's like, what? There's no benefit to you doing that.
Yeah.
It made programming when she was at home during COVID harder because we didn't have much exercise selection to choose from because you don't have a lot of equipment. But yeah, once you're in the gym, man, like
there's heaps of stuff you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heaps of alternatives. So another one, and this is interesting because I shit on PTs trying to be endocrinologists all the time. So I'm going to, I guess, shed light on why I fire those comments out so often because of what we can actually influence as a personal trainer.
Yep.
So I had a client who basically just reported that her menstrual cycle has become strangely inconsistent compared to what it usually was.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a little bit of a bleed when there shouldn't have been, and then it didn't come, and then it came 6 weeks, and then it was just all over the place, whereas in the past it's been pretty predictable on the day kind of thing. So it's like that's a warning sign for us.
Yeah.
So as a coach, I think one of the best things we actually did was adding the menstrual cycle tracker to our data.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons. One being you can see when this happens.
Yeah.
2, you can also compare like week for like week. I think we were talking to Dean about that in the contest prep one. It's like, we'll compare week 1 of your cycle to week 1 of your cycle, measurements, body weight, mood, etc. If they improve, you improved. Yeah. Not compare week 4 to week 1.
Yeah, that's
because that's going to fuck your head up. Or week 3 to week 4 is usually where it's sort of like, I hate everything, cut my calories, I'm fat, etc. That sort of starts to come into that phase. So, so we look at this and we go, okay, so for this individual, what's changed? And what's changed for her is her output's gone up exponentially. So she's training for a half marathon. So like that on top of her regular training, on top of her super crazy work schedule, on top of just life stress, etc. It's like all of a sudden we've extended what we can possibly do.
Yeah.
Now, in the past, this was a client who was like very diligent with tracking. We did bikini comps, all that kind of stuff, like really on point with all that stuff. Now it's more like an intuitive hunger signaling, eat protein every meal kind of approach. So then we sit back and go, all right, we're looking now that we're actually seeing some side effects of that approach, which is what, I don't know about you, but more often than not with clients, I see tracking to get people to eat enough, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Most clients I work with don't eat enough on a daily basis if they're not measuring their nutrition.
Oh, yeah.
And then on the weekends, they'll blow out or whatever. So the fat loss doesn't happen. And it's like, calorie deficit, bro. And it's like, more consistently high calories is probably going to change the behavior that you and render the outcome you're looking for.
Yeah.
But from a performance standpoint, it's like most of the time, if they're not tracking, they don't eat enough food.
Yeah, so it's probably going to affect their recovery more than anything, which is going to affect their stress load.
Yeah. So we know already that like we're chasing protein. She's vegan as well, so that's already a challenge. Actually, pescatarian, I think. Yeah. So that's already a challenge to get enough protein in. And it just hasn't been huge on the priority list.
Yep.
So now it's the time to step back and go, so that's context of this individual. Any individual that showed this, I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
What are the lowest hanging fruit things we can look at to manage stress load with this person?
Yeah.
Are they sleeping? Are they eating enough? Are they eating enough protein? Has training volume, output, intensity changed? Can we reduce it or manage it differently?
Yeah.
And lifestyle stress, work, relationship, shit that goes on in life. Like if any of those things have changed or have changed is the first place I'm looking.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so your training's gone up, you probably need to eat some more. Or sleep's gone down, we probably need to train a bit less if we can't fix that problem. Thoughts?
Yeah, well, they're the only dials that we can really turn.
Yeah.
Is
there anything else you look at? Because I don't think there is that I look at.
I don't think there's anything that we should really look at and should really go to dive into. You know, some people obviously dance on the spectrum of, starting to prescribe certain supplements and, all of that kind of stuff. I think if we get to that situation, like, you're better off just going to someone who's, a specialist in that area to take care of that stuff. It's unfortunate that people think that personal trainers should have the ability to make those decisions or expect the personal trainers to make those decisions when they really shouldn't.
I think the hardest part is like what we do influences it.
Yeah.
But we aren't qualified to
that's more
go to the next step, if that makes sense. Like
the
decisions you should be aware of the menstrual cycle, how it works, what happens at each phase, and understand all of that across the board. 100% think that that's important knowledge for personal trainers to know.
100%.
Because what you do choose to do with someone, if you're prescribing nutrition and training, will affect that outcome.
Yeah.
Once that outcome is, those I's are dotted and T's are crossed, it's outside of your scope now.
Yeah. I totally agree. So I think outside of like nourishment and stress load and sleep and those kind of things, like we don't really have the ability to kind of prescribe anything else on top of that.
Yeah.
The only other thing I would say is it's like, again, it's hard when you got a time sensitive goal on top of that.
Yeah.
That, if these things are happening, it's like you've got to, in some instances, weigh up which one's more important.
Yeah, it's a different scenario, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because this is like a, whoops. Like it wasn't a planned, we're riding you.
Yeah.
Like to a date, to a thing, to a whatever. It's like you're doing a fun run as a goal and it's something that you want to achieve because you like it. Getting outside's good, blah, 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 blah. And it kind of funnels into the rest of the training you're doing. Fuck, now your menstrual cycle's gone a bit weird.
Yeah.
Let's pay way more. We already know, myself and the client, that it's nutrition related. Sleep's good. Lifestyle hasn't changed. Training's gone up.
Yeah.
But nutrition doesn't support it.
Yeah.
So it's like we know that's where we need to go. But for powerlifting preps, bodybuilding preps, those types of things where we are driving stress, it's like, okay, the last 2 months, maybe it's going to be affected.
Yeah.
But we have a very specific plan on the back end to get back into a reduced stress state as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like interesting enough, like I don't know, just seeing it happen with a couple of clients and know of someone else as well. It's like now, like post-COVID infection.
Yeah.
It's like that's just a little bit distorted.
Made some things weird, yeah.
Yeah.
And the same feedback from this client as well.
Yeah, it's just like
it's been weird since.
It's not just the stress and the this and the that. It's like, there's just a couple of people. It's like they've been infected. Yep. They've recovered from the infection, but not like things just haven't fully recovered.
Yeah.
And then it's like, add in the training, add in the a calorie deficit, excuse me, add in all of those things. And it's like, it's a combination of things affecting that system.
Yeah. Yeah. In theory, you would, I guess, assume that that's probably going to be a stress influenced outcome anyway, like post-COVID and stuff. It's like there's stress on the system in some way, shape or form. Yeah. You would assume, I guess.
Yeah, who knows? I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
I don't pretend to be one either.
Yeah.
But it's just sometimes it can be a little bit tough because you want to help the person, you want to help the client, obviously, and there are dials that you guys can turn. But I think in a lot of instances, it's like, okay, so go get some bloods, go see your GP and get them to have a look at some things from that perspective. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, once you get that news back, it's like you're really dialing the amount of stress that you can impose on somebody, and they're trying where possible to take the stress layer down or the stress levels down. And then, you're just like assessing and seeing if that works. The only time that comes really hard is, like I said before, it's like, I'm competing on this day.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, if things aren't where they need to be and we only in control of these things and you're ticking all these boxes, it's probably heavily influenced by your total stress load.
Yeah.
And it's like, in some instances, it's like,
you got to choose.
Do you want to do it or you don't?
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah,
that's the only time when it gets really tough.
Yeah, 100%.
And then whatever time you've spent pushing it, it's like you got to spend that time on the back end recovering.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had, and obviously like working predominantly with women, I'm sure you've experienced the same thing. It's like you have clients come to you who want to conceive or they've not had their period for a couple of years or whatever. And it's like, oh, this is something that I'd really like to address. And it's like, I've had clients attribute the outcome of like a returning menstrual cycle or being able to conceive or whatever, sometimes both, attribute to like, oh, you're magic. You've like changed my life, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, thank you, but not really.
Yeah.
All we did was the same that I would do with any other client, which is manage all the variables that we as coaches can manage.
Yeah.
Programming, nutrition, recovery. Really, that's it.
Yeah.
And then like encourage lifestyle choices that are concurrent with those three things.
Yeah.
So most of the time, if you're coming to me and you're like, hey, I haven't had my period for 2 years, I'm like, cool, what's your stress been like for 2 years?
Yeah. How much activity?
What's your nutrition's been like? What's your training been like? Okay, it's like, okay, well, that's not enough food to sustain that much training and you're fucking stressed all the time. So I can help you address all of those things, which over time, and again, still like, you still need to go work with a professional and get those things looked at, but I'll play my role over here on this as well.
Yeah. Yeah. There just seems to be like such a lack of, or such a reluctance to collaboratively work with other people on an issue. Like it just, yeah.
In all of those cases, I've almost never had back and forwards with like the medical professionals. Yeah. It's just like, I'll just do my thing. You guys do your thing.
But even then trying to get them involved, like the concept of someone saying, hey, you should go see this person to get it sorted out. It's like, what? And it's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have a doctorate of medicine on the wall. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's really important.
Beyond.
Beyond scope and obviously the best person for the job too.
Yeah.
You know, and we have a good medical system for now.
Yeah.
Topic for another day.
I don't know if you've experienced this before, but I've had it with a couple of clients lately, actually, just like clients going back to maintenance calories and being really hungry still. And like, I had one of my clients who was just like, this is fucked. Like, I know I'm at maintenance calories. I've been here before, like weight's stable, everything's good. She goes, but I'm fucking over it because I'm hungry all the time. I'm like, okay, let's have a look at what you're eating. Yeah. And this is where like the macro Steve thing comes in. It's like,
just do your macros.
Yeah. It's like, okay, there's more to food than macros. And you have a look at it and she was eating like, I reckon maybe 600 grams of food a day.
Really?
Yeah. Because it was like a shake, a protein bar, a fucking, like some pasta or wheat bix and shit like that. I'm like, okay, let's try and get your food closer to like 1.5 kilos, 2 kilos of food per day. Yeah. I bet you're not hungry.
Residue on food is important. Yeah. Like, you have to, we have, our stomach will register like just in terms even of just the volume itself to send signals to the brain to say we're satiated and whatnot. So if you're taking a low residue approach and hunger is an issue, that is definitely going to be the first place to go. That's generally why we prescribe targets for fiber outside of the health benefits that come with it, obviously controlling blood sugar, digestive health and those kind of things. It's because those things are going to pass through the system slower and they're generally more voluminous in food as well. So that's a no-brainer from a dieting perspective if someone's trying to, cure the hunger.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Have you had that much?
Look, it depends. It would depend on the results that come out on the back end of it. Like if you take someone to like a hypothetical maintenance point, especially when they've been in a low energy state, I would be really interested to see what their body weight did over that week, because sometimes when we increase the food, their activity increases and their intensity and their training increases, and
so still in a deficit.
So they're still in a slight deficit as well.
Yeah.
So then there's the hunger that becomes, or is on the back end of that, because they've just moved more, and that's pretty evident in refeed studies as well. Like there's not an increase in your metabolism per se after a refeed. There's an increase in activity. There's an increase in just like NEAT in general. So I'd be really interested to know if that person experienced that, because then you could pin it to that as well. Yeah. And then it depends on how lean they are as well. Like obviously, when someone's dieted, the first thing their body, and they're lean, the first thing their body's going to want to do is put body fat back on, and then so it's like, send signals of high signals of ghrelin to increase hunger and dive the leptin to, so the body doesn't tell itself that it's full.
Do you think that's based on a body composition or percentage of body weight loss?
It's indicative of their levels of body fat and the time frame that they've dieted for, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, interesting. Because I feel like we're not super low levels of body fat yet, but we have made in the last 12 months pretty significant changes to overall body fat levels in terms of like percentage lost.
Yeah. Sometimes it might not even be that.
Similar.
Like, it can, and then it can be like blood sugar levels, like blood sugar regulation, hydration status. Like those things are really influential on hunger.
Yeah. Sleep too.
Yeah, especially if, so this is me just spitballing now. If the food volume's going up and the hydration isn't there, it's like that's going to have an issue as well.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things that you can look at and just peel them off one by one.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's a difference between psychological hunger and physical hunger too.
Of course. Yeah.
So it's like, which boxes are you ticking in on the hunger spectrum? And it's like, okay, I'm not actually hungry.
Yeah.
I just think I am.
Yeah.
Which is still hard to.
Still got to manage it.
Yeah. It's still hard and it's still tough. But yeah, that's generally what I would think or what I would do in that situation.
Sweet.
Yeah. And speaking of hunger, I had a client who was like, we bombed his calories because he wanted to do a mini cut. So just for definition purposes, a mini cut is a short, aggressive cut.
Yeah.
So
4 weeks.
Yeah. But it's short and aggressive.
Yeah.
So he was like, mini cut. I'm like, cool. Mini cut. Bang. And I was like, fuck, I'm so hungry. And, can't think, all that kind of shit. I was like, okay, so this is just too much.
Yeah.
So then peeled it back to something really less aggressive, more mild. And he was like, oh, I'm still hungry. I'm hungry. And then all of a sudden it just changed. And he's like, I'm not hungry anymore. And then as soon as he reported that the hunger went down, the body fat
fell off
and the body weight just dived, man.
Interesting. Stress?
Nah, look, I personally think that he wasn't metabolically flexible.
Yeah.
So I think
crashing.
Yeah, so I think that his body's ability to change from fat to carbohydrate and back was poor. So when we did the aggressive cut to start with, that's what the reason why he was feeling the way he was feeling. Yeah. And that's why that aggressive mini cut didn't work. And then when we peeled it back to a moderate deficit, that gave him the time to become a little bit more flexible, like dropping body weight, dropping body fat overall with a mild deficit. That metabolic flexibility started to come.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we threw a cardio session in as well, which obviously helps with that too. And then as soon as that reported suppression of hunger kind of happened, the body weight is just peeled off.
So interesting.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And look, it makes sense. Like, you in a growth phase, you're driving carbohydrates, main fuel source, body's always going to try and convert that for fuel first. And, then we move to fat later. But if you're in a surplus, you're not really ever getting into a situation where you're burning large amounts of fat. Like you would always be kind of burning glucose, and you're storing glucose in your muscles and liver as glycogen as well. So
was he in a large surplus prior?
Yeah, large surplus, then we went to maintenance. But it was just, even then, it's just like, carbohydrates make up over 50% of the diet. So it's like, in some instances, and that's where using aerobics in a plan at all times is advantageous, and sometimes maybe, dare I say it, fasted cardio, even fasting, and I don't mean fasting as in like, 24 hours. It's just like sometimes just waking up in the morning, extending that fasted period just for a little bit, it's like, it is a really good way of just like keeping that metabolic flexibility. So if someone did want to take advantage of a mini cut and that was the biggest roadblock, that they can do that because they can switch straight away and not have that kind of fogginess and, you know, whatever. So
I've definitely experienced that myself. Like, I spent the best part of 4 years in a surplus. Like, maybe a day I was in a deficit, but not for any extended period of time.
Yeah.
And like meal frequency at that point, like 600-700 grams of carbs a day. It's like you eating every hour, pretty much, consistently eating all day. And over the last 12 months, the what I used to do when I used to like do a bulk phase, get lean, we do a photo shoot, whatever, my core meals always stayed the same, and then I just ate snacks around them. So when I went back into a deficit, I was just like, well, I have the same core meals and then just have less snacks. Fuck, man. Like, exactly what your client just experienced. Like, it was so hard. It's like brain fog, like dizziness, that like ravenous hunger that like you go to the cupboard and you're like, I'm going to eat a whole fucking block of chocolate right now. Like, those kind of weird things. Whereas like now, I haven't eaten yet today. I'll probably eat kind of 3 meals plus my light and creamy before.
Light creamy.
So it's like, my frequency of feeding, the windows I can go without food, even the symptoms of what happens when I don't. Like, if we go play golf or whatever, it's like, oh, grab a quick snack on the way through, and then it's like, I'm not as good by the 8th or the 6th hole as I would be if I ate properly. But 6 months ago, I would have been feeling like I'm going to pass out, cold sweats, like, it's like I have to buy a fucking Gatorade on the way through the clubhouse just to keep me alive on the second half of the round. And
that's like, we talk about not only the benefits of obviously being flexible metabolically for fat loss phase, but like that can be one of the reasons why we tap out on the other end of the spectrum in a growth phase as well. So maintaining that metabolic flexibility is an advantageous thing to do. So that's where even, you know, having, I don't know, like one day where you like extend that break for the break of the fast in the morning, and you know, you maybe do a fasted cardio session or do some aerobics and stuff. There can be strategies that we implement to, you know, allow us to stay in that growth phase for longer, and you're going to make the most amount of progress doing that. You know, if we can. So I just thought that was super interesting. To kind of see it play out.
Cool. Good episode. We didn't even get to the formal ones that we had planned.
Don't have to.
We
just
say
get us talking about just coaching
clients. So hopefully there was some takeaways there. If you guys that are listening do have any like specific stuff with your clients that you want to have troubleshoot, we're happy to do that. So just send us stuff in. If you're struggling with this, we won't name you and call you out for being a fucking shit coach or anything like that. This fucking spud sent us this.
Case studies are good. So if you want case studies, we can unpack them.
But that'll be fun for us to do. So next week, I think, unless we have a guest, which is waiting to confirm, but I think it'll be the fortnight after, we'll be talking about sales. So stay tuned for that. At STCfit Learning on Instagram, www.stcfitlearning.com. Is it ready yet, Tam? Is it done? Gave Tam a whole new website to build yesterday. I'm asking if it's done today.
Wait, it's not done in it's not done in 24 hours? Fucking hell.
Yeah. Will it be ready on Monday when the episode launches? Oh, it's going to be ready. Go to the website. Go look at the new website design flash. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks for tuning into the episode. Don't forget to like it if you liked it, and subscribe if you loved it, and share it with somebody who you think needs to hear it. Don't forget also to head to the website for all our free resources, products, services, and merch. All right, see you next time.